Hello and welcome back to our live coverage here at Chaos TV of the Weplay Invitational round of 16 matchup between Ultra Vires and Never Give Up. If you have just joined us, I met this joined by Spuddington, and that first game did go in the hands of Ultra Vires. It has to be mentioned though, Spud, that was a very, very close game up until the last few moments.
Yeah, I mean, you could not have called that game at any point. Ultra Vires got ahead a little bit early on and looked like they were using that mobility composition they had to really put the pressure on. But then you just saw a few fights go well in the favor of their opponents. The split pushing from Shen started to scale up and Renekton couldn't deal with it. But then you saw a turnaround of the Renekton quadra kill, and then one final fight going in their favor. Ultra Vires with the brilliant Shockwave and Crescendo combo, taking the game away off of that final push. But really fun game to watch, a lot of action across the board, and I have been told that apparently something which the Scrying Totem doesn't actually exist in the current patch, which is why I kept mentioning it, because I knew it was on PvE, but I did not know it was not in the patch.
Indeed. So, we are on the picks and bans. Quick disclaimer before we do get into this. We are watching the stream because both spectator slots are full. So we are going to be slightly delayed, but that will rectify itself once we get into the actual game and start specking through friends lists. So, I can see right now ban champions Evelynn, Shen, Orianna, Elise, and Zed. Nothing too surprising, especially that Orianna banned straight against Mazarin. Mazarin had such a good game on with that champion.
Yeah, Orianna and Mazarin is a combination that leads to people dying a lot because they are just perfect. Really, really, I mean, you saw so many fights turned around by Mazarin with his shockwaves in that last game, and that was just one game, a few good team fights, and he always does well. In fact, when they were gaming EU, when they were at the Season 4 Worlds, Mazarin was honestly the only hope they had because they were well out of their depths in that environment. They were against the best teams in the world. And he was still going toe-to-toe with the Mazarin, Orianna, really, really, really scary. However, I'd like to say Evelynn ban does not surprise me at all, because if you think about it, in the new patch, with the new changes, she must be just ridiculously difficult to deal with. She can bypass your normal wards, your free wards, and if you put down a pink ward, she can always kill it. That's just... I don't know if that's me disconnecting or Meta's. Can anyone confirm?
Oh, I'm back. You sounded like a robot to me there, but I wasn't sure if it was my internet or yours, because obviously I've had issues with my internet the last couple of days. Baz, can you just confirm what's happening? Oh, it was Spud. Okay.
Well, damn.
We can hear you fine now, but when both people have had internet issues recently, it's like, oh, here we go again. So I was thinking my internet had just decided to jump off the edge of a cliff. Regardless though, we are into the picks. Quite a few of them came about here. Renekton is going to be played again, and you know, why the hell not? After that quadra kill that NBS LoL picked up in that first game, I can definitely understand why they want to be running it themselves. We have a Caitlyn and Fiddlesticks also on the side for Never Give Up, whereas on the flip side, Lunarex has picked up an Olaf, which you've seen a lot in Korea recently, coming from jungle, and of course that Shyvana.
And now that does actually beg a few questions. How does Olaf do in top lane against Renekton? Because traditionally he actually did pretty well. Renekton, he's a very kind of jump in, burst you quite hard, and jump out and sustain up kind of character. And Olaf's style of also doing a lot of burst very quickly and then being a very good chasing champion could well work against that. If they did decide to run it in the top lane, Shyvana is a very competent jungler. So that is a perfectly viable option. And I don't know if you were actually able to hear me while I was having some disconnect issues before, but I was talking about Evelynn. Was I comprehensible?
I heard up to the point when you talked about killing wards, and then you kind of went Dalek on me.
Well, I hadn't. There wasn't too much more to talk about after that point. The main issue with Evelynn is obviously now in the new patch. If she finds a pink ward, she can clear it out, and that just means she can disappear, and then you have no idea and no other option but to play incredibly passive. So it's really, really scary stuff to deal with, and that's why she is now probably going to be literal 100% pick ban for at least a while. She may actually need to be reworked to fit in with the new vision system. Really, 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 really strong in the new patch. So we do actually now have the last couple of picks coming in. Nocturne being picked up here by Never Give Up.
Yeah, that's going to be on Lasagna, who had an awesome early game with Lee Sin in game number 1. Made I think it was 3 kills actually at bot lane, taking it to a 3-0. And then after that, you did see the experience and the individual skill shining through from Ultra Vires to pick it back up again. But on a champion like Nocturne, definitely going to be an interesting one to watch with the new changes to the items. Honestly, Spud, I'm not sure how it's going to pay off, because Nocturne has always been one of those kind of champions. We've seen Meteos, for example, running him a lot, where he'll farm up to level 6 and then try and make ganks happen. I'm quite interested to see if Lasagna is going to play the same mentality, because game number 1 with Lee Sin, he was super aggressive.
Yeah, carrying around the sweeping ward, the sweeping trinket. He was able to just move around, clear out wards, and then potentially circle back around and go back. And even if he didn't, it just meant all the lanes had to play really, really defensively. If you are going for that farming style, you need to pick very defensive lanes to go with that. Caitlyn Fiddlesticks is quite a defense-capable lane. The weakness is that if you are in a 3-man situation, Fiddlesticks can only fear one of them. But they do actually have a lot of potential to run with that. They have lanes that will get pushed back quite easily, or that could freeze the lane at their tower. The main concern would be Renekton, but he does have that double escape in the form of Slice and Dice, and has sustain, and has health when he's hit level 6. So interesting to see if they choose to go for that. It is always possible to run relatively aggressive ganks from Nocturne. Contributes a fair bit of damage, even if not that much CC. But regardless, guys, we will be just going into a quick commercial break while we wait for the delay timer to tick down. So when we come back, we will be in game with this particular game. That being Ultra Vires versus Never Give Up. We will see you after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now underway with the game between Ultra Vires and Team Never Give Up. I am Spoddington, joined once again by Metas, and my client appears to have glitched because I can still hear the champion select music.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Fortunately, I don't have that issue, so I don't know if you're going to try and fix that, Spud, before we get in, because I guess that could be quite strange to be casting along to.
I don't really mind. If it bothers me, maybe I will disconnect if there is a lull in the action. But at least for now, I want to be here to give you my interesting knowledge and things. And I think one of the points we really want to talk about right now are the Nidalee nerfs, because what they've done in the last patch is one of the few actual champion balance changes is a couple of small things to her. They changed her trap debuff duration, which shreds quite a lot of armor and magic resist. They changed it, I think, from 12 seconds to 8 seconds, so knocking off quite a significant chunk from that. They also made the spears do less damage in a couple of kind of edge cases. For one thing, her spears do not gain damage from the distance they travel until they surpassed her auto-attack range. They still scale to the same point at maximum range, so the max range Nidalee spear still hits just as hard as it ever did, but close range spears are not going to hit as hard, and that could cause Nidalee more issues in dealing with assassination cases. Oh, and the other thing, they also calculate that distance-based damage based on where Nidalee was when she threw the spear rather than when the spear hits.
Yes, indeed. So there have been a few changes, as you say. Now, obviously, I'm a bit curious here if Renekton has just forgot to get a trinket, because there is none for him. That could be one of the things that's coming in here that happens when the changes come in and not everyone's on the right path. But regardless, Renekton, speaking of which, is going to be going up to top in a 1 versus 2, which will leave Shyvana in a 1 versus 2 at the bot lane.
And that's actually an interesting point right now. You can see Alum here taking that big Wraith camp there. So that's actually going to be the follow-along we have been seeing in Season 3 in 1v2 lane swap-ups. But the interesting point is that because there's a camp that's closer, it actually makes it even stronger as a tactic, because now they can just move together, clear out a couple of extra camps, and be taken less far away from their lane. They can easily respond if they need to. So, smart play there, and I am actually a little bit interested to see how big of an advantage Alan has accumulated for himself here compared to Power of Dreams in this top lane.
Yes, we will be finding out, because Power of Dreams right now is on his tower trying to stop this onslaught. Kralius and Deadly Brother are able to put down a lot of harassment from Sivir and also Sona. So it's going to be quite brutal to face off against. And Shyvana is literally just following Lunarex around the jungle. This is pretty interesting because it's giving Caitlyn free farm. Pretty much was going to get free farm anyway. But at some point, Shyvana's going to need to go back to the bot to deal with this tower being aggressed on.
Yeah, the thing is, though, because if Olaf was in that situation, if Shyvana was in that situation, she doesn't have a lot of range farming capability. She wouldn't have been able to really do anything in that situation. So they are just going to be getting back in time pretty much for that big creep wave. And that will be a lot of XP and gold to pick up. But NBSL won't be low on levels at that point, so there isn't as much danger of, for instance, being dived.
Yep, so Terrify comes out, stopping that last attack to pick up the creep, and it's going to be quite irritating if nothing else. This tower's taking a lot of punishment though. Here comes a Lunarex from the side to just help out his top laner, or in this case solo laner of NVS LoL. So let's have a quick look at the difference between these towers in terms of hit points. Well, you got to say Power of Dreams is coming out ahead here because his tower's a lot healthier than NBS LoL's.
However, there is a significant goal difference between the two of them. You've got Shyvana with 925, and actually Renekton being the one that comes out ahead, simply because he's been able to get a few more CS in this top lane. Interesting.
They're engaging hard on bot. The exhaust comes down, the flash as well from Archie, so using all those summoners to try and escape this onslaught because Lunarex is so fast. Got the red buff, the undertow's consistently coming out. Are they going to go for a tower dive? However, they're fully committing to this. This is maybe going to backfire as Archie will not die. And they get the first blood onto Shyvana, so that tower dive simply not worth. And now a Lunarex could be falling. 90 caliber net coming about if this Piltover lands, and it will. Red buff to Caitlyn.
That is so huge for Team Never Give Up there. That was the reason for that jungle follow-along. That was the reason they sacrificed the tower health, so that they could go aggressive. But the misplays, unfortunately, in that situation, Olaf not going in when Shyvana did, going under the tower, losing 2 kills, and now most likely losing the tower race as well. Although actually the Deadly Brother is going to take this top tower at the same time. So a big advantage given there, just pretty much on a plate. But I actually feel they made the right call. Going aggressive there was fine. They just went a little too deep.
They did. They got the summoners away from Fiddlesticks, but they were too greedy. Their red mist descended, plus the fact, I'm not sure if you caught it there, Spud, but Fiddlesticks leveled up under the tower, and that's what kept him alive. Really unfortunate. Now MBS LOL is finding himself in a fairly difficult situation. 3 players smashing down his tower, so they will be evening this one back up again, 1 tower apiece.
Yeah, so they don't want to risk being caught in that situation where they start falling behind. And I would actually also say Caitlyn in this situation, actually sorry, Nocturne in this situation wants to be there when they take away the towers, because obviously you get local gold and local XP. It's really interesting as a factor. But right now Power of Dreams is actually potentially going aggressive too much.
Yeah, he's getting poked from Deadly Brother, and Corellius is going to be recalling here. Although he could try and scumbag this one away, stop the recall. There we go. He's going to eat more damage for his troubles, however, and pushed back further yet. That ward's going to be cleared out, and they will be backing away. Maybe going to go and switch back up again here, Spud, and have the AD carrying support occupying bot lane.
Yes, indeed. Actually, I'm a little bit curious right now as to who would be stronger in that 2-on-2 situation. Neither of the ADs and supports have hit level 6 yet. They've been focused very much on getting the towers down. But once they have done, I have to say, I think Sivir and Sona would probably have the edge. Sivir being able to use the spell shield to prevent herself getting feared, and then with that AoE crescendo to set them up, and the burst damage out of Sivir, they could potentially kill Caitlyn, but they could potentially kill her if she's found in this situation. She'll be able to get herself out there.
Yep, Caitlyn is, however, very big compared to Sivir, because has the BF sword, got first blood and a second kill afterwards, plus the red buff. So Caitlyn's pretty significant, can probably out-trade Sivir, but of course they are against Corellius' Sona, so those constant heals will be coming in. It's a question to me is whether Archie can get that perfect Terrify off when Sivir's already used the spell shield. Maybe then they can capitalize and jump on top of this duo bot lane.
Yes, indeed. Now we have London IRX down there. Nocturne doing much the same. That could get messy if he goes too deep for this, because he will want that engage and will not necessarily know they have been spotted out, but looks like nothing actually going to come from it. And I'm actually curious if either side is going to try and go for a dragon right now, but it seems like there's just going to be this almost pseudo lane freeze right now for Deadly Brother and Corellius, just keeping Caitlyn in a slightly uncomfortable farming spot, a little bit too far from her tower to really be happy, but there is a big warding net, so that's not actually costing her that much.
Yep, ward goes down there from Fiddlesticks into the Tribush area to the left, so that is going to alert them if they are going to have Lunarex coming down. In fact, speaking of which, he is going to be batting heads with Power of Dreams. He goes ahead and steals away the red buff, or at least tries to. And I believe Luna actually smited that one away, even though they are under a lot of presence from the enemy team. They are going to manage to force them back, so Luna not really missing out there.
Yeah, indeed. Continuing to fight on this bottom lane actually right now, Corellius and Deadly Brother just trading off, and it actually looks like there could be an engage. No, indeed there is not. A little bit of these kind of close calls right now. I think across the board we can fairly definitively say. So I'm just gonna take another look at the goal differences right now, and between the two teams, it's definitely Fiddlesticks as the support that's coming out on top. Curious if that's just off of his item choices or whether that is 2 assists worth of gold.
I think it could be a bit of column A and a bit of column B. They are going to be taking away that new camp there on the side of the wall, so even though they can't really contest the CS wave because it's so close to the enemy tower and they're very much aware of the fact that Lunar X could be coming down, they can get some advantages here and there. Dragon could very well be the next point of contention for potentially Caitlyn and Fiddlesticks, because the fact that their wave is pushing so hard, they're probably going to call across the Nocturne to Lasagna and say, look guys, I'm missing out on CS, I'm missing out on XP, let's try and make some plays while they're back on their own tower. So that could be what's about to happen.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact, the push in mid is coming in. Corellius is in position to defend, has now got that crescendo. I'm wondering if they will actually be able to defend, or what they're going to be doing, in fact, because at the moment it just seems like there is a push coming in on the mid lane, but can they really take the tower when Alan is there and so scary and has Undertow for wave clear? It just looks like it's quite an overcommitment of manpower from Never Give Up to not a lot of gain.
Yeah, because Lunar X, and they'll know this, has his Ghost available and Ragnarok, so he can suddenly, in the blink of an eye, hard engage on you, and it's just not looking too good. Now what I would say is, even though the early game from Ultra Vires with that tower dive, not looking too good, this is a carbon copy of game number 1 as well, Spuddington, where they went 3-0 down, and still their experience shone through in the mid to later stages of the game where they got the all-important win. So they're behind, but they're the kind of team that kind of excels in these positions.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong right now, by the way, but I'm seeing NBS LOL with a permanent burnout. I don't think it's actually doing anything, so I think it is just a visual bug.
It is, yeah.
Otherwise, that would be quite OP.
That would be OP.
Like, constant 500 movement speed running around the map, burning everyone. That would be something quite special, but unfortunately not going to be what's happening today. I know Gragas is disabled at the moment because something has apparently gone wrong with him too. Yeah,
there was a bug which shows at the top left of the client, and I think that would have been a bit of a sad moment for Mazrin, because he's known for his awesome Gragas play. He's a very good Ori as well, but that could have potentially been going for the big man in mid. Regardless though, speaking of Mazarin, he's in mid alongside Corellius, and they're trying their best to stop this onslaught. But again, lots of players being committed from Never Give Up to this mid lane. This tower's still very, very big on hit points though.
Yeah, not going to be easy to take that away from them. And again, it's this wave clear that you're seeing. You've got Orb Deception and you've got Undertow, and that is almost enough to just give a wave straight off the bat. It's not something you typically associate with Olaf. You think, right, he's a big, beefy bruiser, he jumps in, but he does provide a lot of wave clear. I was about to say jungle clear, which, I mean, is true, but he does also have that wave clear himself. So, does look like they are going to be forming up for this blue buff, potentially. Lasagna could be in trouble.
He could. He was going for the potential steal, got a bit of vision, but unfortunately, he's not going to be able to take away the blue buff from his team's perspective. Mazarin will pick that one up comfortably and now rejoin the middle defense. This is allowing Caitlyn, however, to go to bot lane and get some much-needed farm. So it's not all bad news for Never Give Up, but I feel that their lead that they got from that 2-0, they've yet to really make too much use out of it. They've got a bit stagnant here, a bit stale. They're not coming up with big plays, and that could end up hurting them in the long term.
I think it's because this game, the team compositions are almost like a flip side of what we saw last game. Last time, both teams very aggressive, very engagey. You saw that movement speed comp. You saw the high levels of burst AoE. This time, though, it does just seem a little bit like both teams have gone much more defensive. You've got Nidalee, punishes people who jump in because they are lining themselves up for spears. You've got Caitlyn, who is obviously able to put down traps, able to escape, punishes people running towards her. Fiddlesticks, much the same. You're setting yourself up for Crowstorm if you run at him, and indeed, a Fear is a very good defense as well. The flip side being the wave clear. If you run in as well, you could potentially get Crescendo. It's just that both of these teams are A, quite resistant to tower sieges, and B, quite resistant to ganks. So there's just not that easy to get anything done, no matter who you are. And that does favour, of course, the team that falls behind a little bit early.
So, with that information, would you therefore suggest, Buddington, that with the slight gold advantage they have and the fact they've got 2 of their kills on the AD carry, that Never Give Up should be trying to force a dragon then? Do you think they should be looking to make plays on objectives?
Well, it's always an interesting proposition, especially when you are the one in possession of Nidalee, because Nidalee in dragon fights is very, very good, assuming an engage doesn't happen. And you can tell that the spears haven't been nerfed, actually, there. Just checking Mazarin's health getting chunked there. But, yes, actually, probably would be a good idea for them. But the problem is, at the moment, I think they need to get some scrying, or not scrying, the sweeping lenses. I'll get the names down eventually, ladies and gentlemen, but it is the first day. So if they get that ability to clear away the wards from the dragon area, that will potentially give them that opportunity. And in fact, getting Mazarin as low as he now is, that is also a big opportunity for them. They could potentially push off of it.
Yeah, they could just poke Mazarin, potentially poke Coralius down to such a low amount of hit points that they simply have to go back, and that's where the engage will come. Nocturne has used his ultimate at top, however, that will be Shyvana falling. So NBS LOL is starting to get further and further behind. The Renekton is already about 30 CS behind, plus 2 deaths. This is going to be the 3rd tower going down, 2nd to Never Give Up. And now they could be looking to try and make some plays, because at some point Ultra Vires are going to have to send somebody top piss, Buddington, otherwise they face losing another tower.
Yeah, I think that might actually be... Oh, but they're going for a fight.
They are in mid, they're going to be trying to return the favour here with picking up a kill of their own. It's very difficult to chase down a Nidalee, especially with the barrier as well. Oh, the boomerang blade so nearly claiming that kill, but not quite enough damage.
But that call, that aggressive play was so contingent upon their success, because they just cost themselves another tower and have been forced back. Now Nidalee heals are coming into effect, which were not nerfed at all, and they are going to be able to push this down. Mazarin committed at the bot lane. They don't really need to go for the dragon when there are so many towers available, and this is really, really costing Ultra Vires a lot in this situation. I was going to say, actually, before that fight kicked off from Ultra Vires initiation, that might have been the explanation of why they weren't so bothered about getting stuff going, getting stuff rolling for them, because they knew Power of Dreams was really punishing NBS LOL in that top lane, and they were taking tower damage advantages as well as a farm advantage, and having a farmed Renekton on your team is always worth waiting for.
Yeah, that's very true. So maybe somewhat of a chipping, slow, steady approach, and they did pick up that 2nd tower at top lane as well. However, this is going to put Ultra Vires in a precarious position. They want to bounce back with an objective of their own. They've started off the dragon. It's pretty low on hit points. They should be able to pick this one up. The flash from Lasagna through the wall. More of a hello than anything else. He didn't pick up the dragon, and now going to be engaging on top of him. He's taking lots of damage. Here comes a Crow Storm and Crescendo as well. NBS will be picking up the first kill. This could be a huge mistake from the team of Never Give Up, but Nidalee's spear is proving to be huge, as we'll be picking up that kill onto the support of Coralius. Mazarin has to back away with Spirit Rushes defensively as he's gone so low. NBS LOL comes in for that 2nd kill. Can he get any more? No, he cannot, as Nidalee will pick up that kill in retaliation. 2-for-2 trade thus far in the game. So many low players. That spear so close to landing on Mazarin, and now Deadly Brothers going in ham. Terrify comes out. It's going to force him to flash away and use the barrier. Here comes the cleanup though from the rest of Ultra Vires. Can they get the kill onto Power of Dreams, who's used such a tanky Renekton? He goes down, and that staggered delayed fight goes into the hands of Ultra Vires, but my goodness, that was on a razor's edge.
Yeah, the fact that Caitlyn died so early on was really what won Ultra Vires that fight. Sivir was able to put out a lot of damage with boomerang blades and just straight up auto attacks, kiting very well. It was also a fact that Never Give Up were just a little too overconfident. They knew they'd gotten some poke down, and they knew they had a nearly full health Renekton who had just entered the fight. They continued to chase, but they were punished for it. They were on the offensive against a very strong defensive team, and they ended up getting kited around and losing out overall. Nidalee still picking up a couple of kills across the place, but not enough to make up for it. So, unfortunate from their perspective, but that puts us back onto a very, very equal kind of ground again. And now I have to say, it feels to me like they may look to get another objective. Ultra Vires do probably have a stronger straight up team fight right now.
I think that also shows that the main differences between these two teams, that, you know, Ultra Vires don't have the greatest of early games, but they have very good team fight synergy, and that's because they've been together for so long. They've went to World Finals, they've got a lot of experience under their belts, and that's for me where the main difference shines through in those team fight situations, where Ultra Vires are always a step ahead. The experience shines through, they pick up the kills, and what looked like a fairly one-sided affair, suddenly back even again. If anything though, momentum and the kills are going to make Ultra Vires feel very confident going forward into this matchup. And even though they've lost both of their top towers, both their mid towers still stand, so you can still look for those big engages firing out from Corralius. Speaking of which, he just ate a Nidalee spear. That hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, half her health in a single spear, so not particularly nerfed. But the thing is, they can still rely on the split push from Renekton. Unless Shyvana has managed to somehow get herself stronger than Renekton, where previously that was not the case. If they do a 4-1 split push right now with Nidalee spears in this mid lane, they will be able to just start taking towers and force the engage upon Ultra Vires. If they do not engage, they essentially lose out, and Alan is actually looking for it. He does not have Ghost right now, but he does have Ragnarok.
Indeed, so we could be seeing an engage kicking off shortly. All 10 players are situated in the middle or thereabouts. Wards down aplenty, so both teams have pretty good vision of one another. Here comes Luna from the backside though, so they're looking to encircle, using a pincer movement, chasing Nidalee out of this fight. However, there is a tower up here, they don't want to make the same mistake made at level 2 or 3, giving Caitlyn a double kill and the red buff, and that engage was fairly short-lived. Ghost was used, Ragnarok used, and they just back on away.
And that costs them seriously, because now they've used all those engagement potentials and they're just going to be forced to deal with Nidalee spears without the capacity to just jump on her unless she's wildly out of position. That will make life very difficult, especially considering that if they get too low from the Nidalee spears, they will actually have to worry about being engaged upon themselves. They do still, however, have very good wave clear, which is a saving grace for them. I might actually kind of expect to see Power of Dreams head up to that top lane. MBS is looking for an engage himself, though, hanging off to the side.
Fiddlesticks, Talisman of Ascension is nearly back up again, so they could be looking to make some plays when that is, but still, I have to feel a lot of this is going to come down to how Oligate lands those javelins. If he can land a couple on the likes of Mazarin or Deadly Brother, they may look to engage off the back of it. They may look to tower dive. They have Nocturne, they have Renekton. These are two heavy diving team players, I should say, as Corralius eats another spear, which kind of threw me off my point, because that's chunking seriously hard.
And this is the problem. They cannot engage, and they cannot live with them either. They cannot sustain against these spears. They are relying a lot on Sona, and I wouldn't be surprised, incidentally, if she goes for a Mikhail's Crucible this game. That would make a lot of sense, even though it's a slightly strange item these days, because it kind of doesn't build out of a gold item. It's just, you just get like the Chalice and then the active on Mikhail's, which is very useful. But having that potential sustain is the only thing that's keeping them in right now, but it's not keeping them in quite enough. This tower is getting chipped down. The siege comp is too strong, and unless they can make the engage happen, it's not going to work for them.
Oh, Crescendo goes in, but it will whiff again. So they tried the flash engage from Corralius, but simply, as you say, it did not work, and they're still eating Nidalee javelins left, right, and center. So they're slowly but steadily against Bunnington. They're getting this tower low. They're getting players low as well. And this is just keeping Ultra Vires constantly on the back foot. There is nothing they can do, especially with that flash crescendo down now for Sona.
Yeah, it's this continual, slow, grinding push, and there is not much you can do about it at this stage unless someone makes a mistake. But unless Power of Dreams takes way too much damage or something like that, it's not going to go that way. Look at that poke damage. This is after Nidalee's been nerfed.
That was a Piltover Peacemaker plus Javelin right after each other, and that is just Deadly Brother saying, peace guys, I'm out. I cannot deal with this burst. I cannot deal with this poke. And they are going to pick up another tower. That is the second inner tower falling. Both mid and top now are in favor of Never Give Up, and they are just going to smoothly transition into a free dragon. And again, with Deadly Brother having to go back, with Lunar X having to go back, this is completely free.
Yep, a nice little chunk of change for them. They'll be able to just head on back home themselves. get their mana back up, and this is the opportunity for Ultravires to do something. They need to position themselves so that they're not in a tower siege. They need to get vision control, and they need to look for a snipe, a pick, to catch someone out as they look to reconvene, and to apply map pressure by pushing out other waves. They've got the wave clear. They can shove lanes hard, and arguably now NBS LoL might be able to fight Renekton one-on-one. So if they can split their opponents up, that gives them a lot more options. But if they get forced back into the situation we saw before, if they make an engage that fails for them, they could lose an inhibitor tower.
So that's a completely fair point to make. A lot of it comes down to how is their engage going to be, because if Crescendo lands, you're going to see Dragon's Descent come in, you're going to see a Ghost and a Ragnarok from Olaf, and also Mazarin darting around the edges with Spirit Rush. Everything depends on the engage, because if they don't hard engage, you have a blued up Nidalee to contend with, Caitlyn, who's a long-range AD carry, even Fiddlesticks can come in and just throw the Dark Winds in. It's very difficult to play off against, so I feel so much of this is going to be down to how Corralius plays. Last time around, he landed that beautiful 4-man Crescendo that ended up actually winning them the fight and the game. So he's going to have to go ahead and rinse and repeat in this game as well.
Indeed he will, but at this rate, it's not going to happen. If they get forced back, we mentioned it before, they will be in trouble. Mazarin is now almost too low to even think about an engage, and that means they need to get waves pushing. But the bottom lane is being pushed by Caitlyn. They're all grouped around Baron. They cannot start the Baron. They are going to be forced back here. Look, in this situation, you've got nearly the full 4-5-man group up in mid lane. They might be able to just barrel down the lane at them, but they're actually at risk of caught.
Oh, they are going to be caught out. Corralius is going to be going down from the ace in the hole as well. Will be dead from that Terrify. Nocturne picks up the pieces. And this has gone from bad to worse from Ultravires with their support down for 20 seconds. It's completely possible here that Never Give Up are just going to transition to bot lane and pick up another tower, because this tower only has about 900 hit points remaining.
It's quite the reverse of the previous game that we saw, which was such an explosive, so team fight orientated. But this game, just poke, poke, siege, siege. Constant map pressure and tactical play, but they're not allowing, crucially here, Never Give Up are not allowing Ultravires to abuse how good they are in team fights, and that just means that their superior calls, their superior ability to control the map and control the warding situation is working in their favor.
Oh, they're going for the hard engage right now. It's make or break for them. Looks like they're focusing on Power of Dreams. Nice crescendo this time around, but Ragnarok is not going to stop Olaf from going down, so he's still somehow alive. Co-Storm coming through now from Archie, and it's a 1-for-0 trade with Nocturne dead. So many low plays though. Piltover Peacemaker comes in, Nidalee Javelin narrowly missing. So 1-for-1 plus the tower, and that's the desperation engages that we were talking about before. Spuddington not quite paying off for them this time around.
But you compare it to last game and they just don't have the movement speed they did last game. I don't honestly know how they can make an engage work for them, because that time, yes, they were a little bit low on health, but they had no choice. By the time they can get into a 5-on-5, they're always going to be at least damaged to some degree. So it's just this constant pushback, this constant pressure. The gold is actually staying relatively even, but it's just irrelevant if they can't get a fight to happen.
Exactly. Like, kills do not win matches, objectives do. So right now, even if you are staying fairly close on gold, you still have no presence anymore in your own jungle if the pain train of Never Give Up go through and ward it, because you've got no outer towers, just inhib towers remaining for Ultravires. What I will say, however, is their teamfight potential is still very, very high. Talking from a synergy perspective, I have to feel that Ultravires in teamfights are slightly stronger than Never Give Up. We saw this in game number 1. We've seen glimpses of it in game number 2. The problem is they're just constantly getting poked down from Nidalee. So when they do engage Spud, they're all like 50% hit points. It's never a good thing. Corralius has just been poked again from the aforementioned Nidalee, and they will actually be backing away off. But I still feel this game is very close, although on the map it doesn't look so.
Yeah, it's one of those things though, because it's true in real life warfare. In fact, the people on the defensive almost always have an advantage. You only get aggressive if you get something else from it, like the element of surprise or catching someone squishy out in the case of a video game. It's one of those things, but right now, because of the map pressure, because of the minion pressure, because of the sieging potential, it's always, yes, the better team fighting comp being forced to be on the offensive with nothing to gain except just being in the fight. and that's what they want, that's what they have to do. But at the moment, it's not enough of an advantage to just be in the fight. They're getting kited backwards in these fights, and they are really, really suffering for it because there's a lot of crowd control and a lot of line skill shots that hit a bunch of people when that kiting situation occurs. So it's difficult in a large number of ways right now, but if anyone can do it, Ultra Vires are the ones to do so. They are currently fighting over this war. This could be the kind of opportunity for them to get a fight they want, but now I have to wonder, is Alan IRX just a little bit too squishy to start the fights?
Well, but that's definitely a question that's going to be on their lips as well. I will say Deadly Brother's starting to put out some significant damage, though. I saw Renekton getting chunked down pretty hard, but look at that damage again from Nidalee. And that's pretty much going to force them back. Spell Shield comes out, will stop the ace in the hole, but has the damage already been done? Now NBS LOL is in a precarious position. They're going to look to actually engage off the back of it. Crescendo goes in, lands on just Caitlyn. Can they jump in top of this and capitalize? Deadly Brother's at the back doing a lot of damage, but his focus is on Renekton, who can go toe-to-toe. Sonar of all players will be taking down Caitlyn. Archie with a Crow Storm comes back in again, doing quite a bit of damage, forced to back away, terrifying a Lunar X, so he's not able to jump on top of that Nidalee, who's still alive and kicking at the back lines with the heals and the javelins. This could prove to be their downfall here, Ultra Vires. They simply have to take Nidalee out of the equation, refusing to go down. A Lunar X is going to fall right now. The javelin about to come back off cooldown. But at the end of all that carnage, a 2-for-1 trade with Shyvana coming back in again. That's going to be Power of Dreams actually taking down some players as well. Another 1-for-1 mini trade in that skirmish. 3-for-2 overall. NBS LOL's running away, and he should be okay. But still, my goodness, what a strange fight that was.
It's that whole influence of they don't, team never give up, do not want to be fighting toe-to-toe. So they just, all of them just split up and search for clues. They run away, and that causes these incredibly broken up team fights. But the thing about incredibly broken up team fights is that is when Nidalee really, really shines, because it gives her a lot more time to throw out a lot more spears, and there's not a lot of answer to that in that situation. You could see at the end, although there was Deadly Brother on full health and full, you know, enough mana to be irrelevant, he just couldn't do anything because they kited him around and then they eventually CC locked him in place. So it's again a fight that sort of, I guess, was what they wanted, but it just didn't work out in their favor. Again, Ultra Vires are having a lot of difficulty closing.
I think a couple of issues in that team fight were, one, that Crescendo only landed on Caitlyn, so only landed on version Yanhua, and they weren't able to really jump on top of Caitlyn and burst her instantly. Second is that, as you said, Deadly Brother had a lot of hit points in that fight, but was only fighting against Renekton at the first place, so he was not able to go for Nidalee and take the very scary Nidalee down. 4-1, Rabadon's Deathcap, Void Staff, and Athene's and Holy Grail. Her javelins are chunking, but also the heal is going to keep people alive in fights. And I think that was a pretty big detriment. And then when Deadly Brother did go in, he got insta-gibbed. He did pretty much nothing in that fight afterwards, and that's the issue. What I would like to draw attention to, though, is that the team composition of Ultra Vires are very quick at picking up objectives. They've got Olaf, who's a fast tower pusher. Deadly Brother's a very, very fast tower pusher with the ricochet changes now. And so is Shyvana. My goodness, that damage, though, on Mazarin. What the...
Just ridiculous. I mean, that is what happens when you get a really fed Nidalee, but it's not something you can deal with easily. Eventually, maybe they'd get tanky enough to just face tank towers and use that speed to almost force a base race or something, in which environment Ultra Vires would probably come out ahead. But at the moment, we're back in Tower Siege territory, and that is not something they want to be doing, but it's not something they really have much answer to. Again, unless they can catch someone out. But now it's the inhib siege, and if this starts to go down, that could spell a lot more troubles just because of the difficulty with map pressure. Alan is going for the fight, though.
Talisman of Ascension and the Ghost as well. Ragnarok is up from Lunar X. This could be the moment they strike. Crescendo goes through. Power of Dreams is also very low, so this is a pretty good start. However, Olaf has been picked up. Oh my good lord, that javelin almost one-shot Sivir. Caitlyn's going to get the double kill, looking for the triple. Will pick it up. Is this going to be the quadra kill? Nope, Renekton comes out. Delayed quadra kill from Caitlyn. That was very close to a penta, but the important part is, from Never Give Up, they've team aced over Vires, and they're looking to take down the inhibitor. They're going to be so far ahead after this team fight.
They already are, indeed. They are looking at the Nexus towers. They have got the Nidalee heals, they've got very, very tanky players, and they do now have a minion line. They should be able to take this down, and indeed, the game as a result. So, assuming Alan and Corellius can't pull the defense of the century, we are going to be moving on to a game 3 in this best of 3 series. And wow, really, really smart play. It wasn't mechanics that won the game there for God, why can't I remember it? Never Give Up, the team. They just really, really outsmarted their opponents. Baited and outsmarted. La-di-da.
That I can't really put into words the Nidalee damage. I mean, in that fight, it was looking pretty good for Team Ultra Vires up until the point when Sivir ate a Nidalee javelin to the face and just popped instantly from Caitlyn. It was just such brutal damage. And I have to pose the question now, Spuddington, do you think we're going to see a Nid ban? Because it was so detrimental to Ultra Vires in that game. I'd be amazed if it wasn't.
Depends who has first pick.
True.
We may as to who bans what there, but wow, that was just really, really scary stuff, and I will never give up trying to remember their name. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to be going into a quick commercial break. No, we have a giveaway. We're not going into a commercial break yet. Ha ha ha! I remembered it this time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to win a Logitech G300 mouse, just follow the instructions which will appear in chat. There will be a command which is !giveaway to make the instructions appear. Follow that. You will be able to get yourself in the running to win said mouse, which would be a rather nice little free prize for you. But Meadows, okay, now we're going to a break, aren't we?
I believe so. So when you rejoin us, we'll be live into the third and final game between Never Give Up and Ultra Vires in this best of 3 in the Weplay Invitational round of 16. So we'll see you right after this short break.